Good evening. Welcome back to Masterpieces of English Literature 1 and English 3327. And welcome all you scholars of English literature. I'm Mr. Dr. Long, Dr. Stephen Long, and for this video, I want to go over 5 different themes that I think every educated reader should understand or consider about the play King Lear by William Shakespeare. So I'm going to jump right in. Theme number 1, Shakespeare based King Lear, the play, on someone believed to be an actual figure in history. From Raphael Holinshed's Chronicles, the historical Lear was supposed to have lived and ruled in Britain around 800 BCE or before the Common Era, before Christ. Thus Shakespeare intentionally chooses a pre-Christian setting for the play. King Lear was performed in King James's court in 1605. We know that, but Shakespeare likely first staged King Lear about 2 years earlier, probably in the Globe Theatre. But what effect would the historical setting of the play have had on its viewers when it was staged between 1603 and 1605? For example, did the setting of the distant past allow contemporary viewers to feel superior to these past persons, but still feel jolted into sobriety by the play's demonstrations that when human traditions, rituals, and rules of decorum disintegrate, the results can be chaotic and violent? The second theme, theme 2, Shakespeare based the plot of King Lear on another common tale which most of us are already aware of, the Cinderella fairy tale, in which the beautiful and most worthy youngest daughter lives with a single mother, a single parent and a mother in this case, and her, of course, 2 wretched evil sisters or stepsisters. Of course, in the fairy tale version, magical beings intervene on Cinderella's behalf after her terrible family tries to keep her from happiness. In the end, she marries the rich prince, and the universe rewards her true worth. She lives happily ever after. Even in Holinshed's quote-unquote true story of King Lear, and Cordelia, Lear's youngest daughter, also marries the heir apparent of France. And in that tale, or in that historical account, the French army invades Britain, wins the battle against Lear's usurpers, and replaces Cordelia to the throne of England, on the throne of England. Okay. Reality versus the fairy tale versus Shakespeare's version of King Lear. Theme number 3. Shakespeare uses his viewers' expectations about the Cinderella happy ending to utterly surprise them with a tragic ending. Samuel Johnson famously said, quote, I was many years ago so shocked by Cordelia's death that I know not whether I ever endured to read again the last scenes of the play till I undertook to revise them as an editor. Johnson became the editor of Shakespeare's collected works, and he actually confesses that he hadn't read the play in the intervening time until he actually had to read the play to put together his edited version, his collected works of Shakespeare. In 1681, Nahum Tate rewrote King Lear in order, quote, in order to save Cordelia's life and to produce the unambiguous triumph of the forces of good, according to the Norton editors. 9th edition, page 1252. In fact, it wasn't until almost 200 years later that King Lear as we have it, with its terrible tragic ending, was returned to the stage. For almost 200 years, it was only staged with its happy ending, which I find extremely intriguing. Recall that Shakespeare has the character of Kent in the play for a variety of logistical reasons. He's in this play not as a character, but as a way to get things done in the plot. Kent has spatial mobility. He's able to move around the fictional geography of the play. So his capacity to move around this imaginary landscape makes him a very good communication conduit between the different warring parties. More important and less recognized, I think, is Shakespeare having Kent send, quote, a gentleman messenger to France to alert them of Britain's impending civil conflict between Cornwall and Albany, between Regan and her sister Goneril. This is Shakespeare feigning a comic ending. When we see Kent dispatching the gentleman to France to let them know now's a good time to invade England. It's a good time to invade England because we're in disarray here and we're in kind of moral chaos and we need you to come and restore order. And besides that, Cordelia is married to France and Cordelia can be returned to France as part of the ruling, as a ruler of France. She can restore order. This is Shakespeare feigning a comic ending. It makes us, or it makes the viewers at the time think, okay, Kent's on top of this. He's going to make sure that France invades and restores order to the chaos of this plot. He's going to bring about a happy ending. We come to trust Kent's steadfast honesty, his loyalty, and when he dispatches word to France, viewers would have thought they would have had no reason to suspect anything but a happy ending, right? But Shakespeare does not stop there. He feigns a comic trajectory again. He does it again, and the next time it's stronger on another level of magnitude. Okay, while Cornwall and Albany occupy each other, and the deeply villainous Edmund distracts their wives romantically. They both think they're going to marry Edmund. France's forces do invade Britain at the Dover coast, and Cordelia is with them. She seems to be leading the troops. She's ruling the invading army as if she were Queen Elizabeth just before the great battle at sea with Spain. She presents herself as almost an ideal leader. And even further, all the characters we like in this play, we managed to get to Dover and Cordelia's protection. Edgar gets there. Gloucester gets there, even though he's blind. Edgar leads him to Dover. Edgar saves Gloucester from suicide after getting to Dover. Lear's fool and Lear himself all make it to Dover and make it into the protection of Cordelia and the French forces. If we have any doubt about Cordelia's almost Christ-like powers of leadership, her moral authority, and her powers of reorganization, Shakespeare gives us one of the most emotionally affecting scenes in his writing career. He has Cordelia declare a kiss she gives her father as an act invoking divine power of healing. When she kisses her father, she said she invokes the divine powers to take away her father's madness. It works. It works. Lear immediately, confesses his newfound humility. He says, quote, "I am a very foolish, fond old man." Act 4, Scene 7, line 61. 2, he accurately acknowledges his current and prior mental state. He comes to recognize his own mental disorder, or takes a step in that direction. He declares, quote, "I fear I am not in perfect mind." There's nothing that shows sanity like recognizing one's own insanity. And Lear is doing this. "I fear I am not in perfect mind." Line 64. And then in 30, he confesses his wrongdoings to Cordelia. His last words are, "Pray you now forget and forgive. I am young, I am old and foolish." Line 85. Everything appears en masse to be headed toward a comic ending, a happy ending in which society is reorganized, brought under control, and chaos is brought under control. And moral order is restored. Then, totally by surprise, Edmund leads Cornwall's forces. Remember, Cornwall has been killed. Edmund sort of unexpectedly takes over Cornwall's military forces and successfully organizes a defense of Britain and defeats France militarily. Right? Cordelia is taken prisoner. Lear is taken prisoner. This totally takes us by surprise, right? Theme number four. If we trust Northrop Frye's claim that the emotional impact of a tragic literary work depends on how far the hero falls in relation to ourselves, the tragic hero must then somehow be noticeably better than us, so that when the character falls from a very high place, our own pity and agony is intensified. We recognize that this is a tragic event. That we admire this character. We recognize and understand that this character is better than us. And it terrifies us to watch them fall past us from this high place below us. Now, Shakespeare and other playwrights will frequently name their plays after the character in the play with the highest social rank in the play, right? So it should not surprise us that this play is titled King Lear, because he's the highest ranked character, social ranked character in the play. But that doesn't mean that the title character of the play is the tragic hero of the play. In fact, I would argue, or one could argue, that Cordelia serves as the play's central tragic hero, right? Or tragic figure, because she demonstrates how much better she is than we are during this play. Lear may not do that. We may see him as kind of pathetic, but we certainly recognize Cordelia as, I'm not sure if I said Ophelia before, Cordelia as much better than we are. And by several different measurements. Our shock, our feelings of pity and terror are likely to land on Ophelia rather than Lear. But that point can be argued either way. Theme number 5. Shakespeare gives us 2 simultaneous plots, not one plot. Okay, we have the Lear, Ophelia, Regan, Goneril plot, but we also have a second simultaneous plot that involves Gloucester and his 2 sons, Edmund and Edgar. And these simultaneous plots that run parallel to one another, they echo each other, and they both pack a tragic punch. They're both tragic plots. Gloucester and Lear mimic one another. Both act really stupidly confident about their roles as parental authority figures, and this is in the very first act of the play. Sometimes the fate of either Gloucester or Lear appear poetically appropriate for the other character, right? When Regan and Cornwall gouge out Gloucester's eyes, it might seem appropriate. It might seem an appropriate punishment for Lear because of his symbolic blindness, his inability to see his own shortcomings, his own weaknesses, and the delusion of his own perceptions of the world. And when Gloucester likewise, when Gloucester encounters Lear again in Dover, and he's observing Lear's madness, Gloucester muses on why madness wasn't his own fate. Why didn't the universe make him mad, considering the extreme trauma he's had to suffer, including having his eyes gouged out? He wonders about this. Who then is the central tragic hero in the Gloucester, Edmund, Edgar plot, right? Which one of them do we anguish over the most, and why? Right. This is the first of 2 videos in which I want to go over 10 themes that I think every educated reader should consider about Shakespeare's play King Lear. Thank you so much for watching this instructional video. Again, this video is one of 2 to introduce 10 themes about Shakespeare's King Lear. If this video was helpful, or if it was not helpful, please let me know. If you still have questions or you want to discuss anything I covered, feel free to email me. My email is slong2@central.uh.edu. Please watch the second part of these 2 connected instructional videos, or have a good evening. Thank you very much for watching.